Hi, and welcome to the Alive in Alaska podcast with Rodney and Ryan. We are just a couple of guys who live in Alaska and who love our state and who love Jesus. We're really excited to do this podcast, and we hope that you listen to past episodes. We have a few up there right now, and subscribe. We're going to be coming out with a lot more episodes in the future, and we're going to have some cool interviews and cool stories that we like to share just from our own experience here in Alaska. So please be sure to subscribe, listen to past episodes, and leave a comment and leave a review on iTunes or SoundCloud. Again, we really appreciate you guys subscribing, and enjoy the episode.
At the break of dawn, kisses bloomed easily too soft.
Hey everybody, this is Rodney, and I want to welcome you to the Alive in Alaska podcast. I'm sitting here with Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing today? What is so funny?
I'm doing well. I was just thinking about right before we started. You said pregnant pause.
Yeah, well, I'll give it a pregnant pause. You know, there's something behind it.
I don't know why
you
that
never
made
heard
me
that
laugh.
term before?
Yeah, I've heard it plenty of times, but for some reason, you saying it makes me uncomfortable.
I gotcha. Well, that's fine.
Oh, man.
Hey, so we are on episode 5, Ryan.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Can you believe it? We made it this long. That we made it this far. Years that we spent in this.
I was gonna say, are we very far?
I think it's far.
We don't even know what we're doing yet.
Yeah? Well, we'll figure it out.
As we go.
Hey, we made
that's
it
right.
past episode 3.
Right.
So that's all that matters.
Well, I think, isn't it in marriage, the 7-year itch? So if you make it 7 years,
Really?
you're supposed to make it.
Well, I feel
Forever.
good then. 'cause
We got
my
2 more episodes.
My 7-year anniversary is coming up for my wedding, my marriage.
It's coming.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you
Are you going to make it?
I mean, I love her.
Right. They call this the 7-year itch. So maybe we'll have a 7-episode itch.
Okay, good.
Maybe.
We'll get to episode 7.
Right.
I want to say I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm not doing
Yeah,
this
we'll
anymore.
see. We'll see what happens.
And that
with
depends on you, listener.
Right. Right.
Well, are you subscribing to this? Are
Hope
you
so.
Yeah.
Get us through the 7-year itch. Subscribe,
7
like, and
episodes.
share.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and I will use that as a segue just to kind of open us up. And you heard us in the intro there. We really want to encourage you guys to subscribe, and what that does for us is, one, obviously it's a huge motivator to put out more episodes and do more. And we're doing 1 a week right now. Rodney, I think it'd be cool, man, if we got to the point where we could put out 2 a week. I think that'd be awesome. Like 1 on Monday or Friday or whatever, however that'll work. And we do have a couple in the future. I know we talked about interviewing some people. There's actually one really cool guest that I'm excited to talk to in the future. And so those things are coming out. We want to encourage you guys to, if you do subscribe to it, you're able to get those updates and hear those interviews easily, more easily.
As we announce them and that sort of thing. Yeah, you betcha. So Ryan, you betcha. That's a Michigan thing, I think. Yeah, in Wisconsin and North Dakota.
You betcha is a Michigan thing. Isn't like don't you know? Isn't that?
Yeah, don't you know? Yeah, don't you know?
You can't get that from here.
Well,
that's Maine.
we don't quite sound like that, but whatever. Yeah, but no, you betcha. I said all the time. And people, when I say that, if they know anything about Michigan, they'll nail me. They'll say, "Oh, you're from Michigan, aren't you?" Or whatever. So Ryan, we sometimes talk about the weather. We're not going to talk about the weather today.
I have a fun fact about the weather.
I said we're not going to talk about the weather today.
Okay, we won't talk about the weather.
What's your fun fact?
My fun fact is my theory. It's more of a theory than anything else.
A theory? Is it your theory?
A theory.
Is it your theory?
Yeah, it's my theory.
Okay, we don't need to hear it
I'll
then.
own it. All right, moving on then.
What's your theory?
I don't want to tell you.
Well, you can't tease me like that.
Fine. My theory is this. When people talk about the weather, is like in a conversation, when you're talking with somebody and they start talking about the weather, it's because they don't know what to talk about. And they're uncomfortable in the conversation.
Right,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Because the weather is the most comfortable thing to talk about. Everybody experiences the weather. It's impossible not to experience the weather. So the next time you're in a conversation, Rodney, and someone says, man, it's really warm out today, isn't it? You can say in your head, I guess this conversation's over.
Right. Well, what about, what if an actual, weather event happened? Like, say, we're here in Alaska, a snowstorm or,
Okay.
well, no, I know this is kind of a little different, but like the earthquake that happened and stuff. I mean, that's
okay.
That's not
Yeah.
that really wouldn't fit. But
Yeah.
but if it's just normal, nothing
Yeah.
really to talk about weather, and someone's like, "Hey, what about the weather?"
Yeah. If some weird weather anomaly happens, just those types
That's
of
an
people,
exception.
those types of people get real excited
I
because now
gotcha.
they know what to talk about.
I gotcha.
Yeah, they don't have to fight as hard.
Well, I did talk about the weather last night. I went to a guy's tent, and the guy was living in a tent.
Like he was camping like
No,
temporarily.
no. This is PVC framed with tarps. He had a wood stove in there and
I
whatever.
can't mock. I can't mock. I feel like I'm mocking.
Don't mock him.
All right.
No, it's fine. No. I mean, really, that's odd because we're
Yeah.
in Alaska, right? And for
Right.
someone to live in a tent, it's like that would be difficult.
It seems
right?
absurd.
It seems,
I'm
it seems.
sorry. If you live in a tent and then you
And you're listening to this
and you're
podcast.
listening, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Forgive Ryan.
Forgive me.
Anyway.
I'm naive, but it seems absurd that you would live in a tent in the wintertime in Alaska.
In Alaska. So I go to this guy's tent, right? And I did talk about the weather because we had a snowstorm come through. And it is whipping and it is blowing. And I'm driving out to, it was in North Pole. I'm driving out North Pole to buy a broke down ATV. It's one of those 6x6 things, the 4-wheelers with the 6 wheels,
It's
right?
very cool.
It's pretty, well, I mean, it's pretty cool, but I paid close to nothing for it. The thing's broke down. It wasn't running. And here I'm thinking to myself, I am going out to North Pole. I'm driving 15 miles, whatever, in a snowstorm to load this broke down ATV on the back of my truck. What does my life come to?
Was that? Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
That
is
was
that one of
yesterday.
those life inventory moments where you have to step back and take an inventory of your life?
I
Like,
guess so, but I was happy to get that ATV.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a
yeah.
good deal and whatever.
Man, I had a life inventory moment this weekend.
No, you went snowboarding, didn't
That
you?
was my life. So here's the plan. All right. So
Snowboarding.
and I'll tell everybody kind of the backstory to this.
How many times did you fall?
Too many.
Too many.
Too many.
Were you
Yeah.
sore the next day?
I was pretty sore. It's Tuesday. I went on Saturday. My arms are still kind of sore, but I'm out of shape. But you wouldn't know that.
No, we wouldn't know that. Nobody knows.
Nobody
No
would
one
know
can tell
Yeah.
that.
Just picture Brad Pitt
Yeah, that's
in
right.
like 70 years from now. That's kind of like my body feature.
Or Brad Pitt when he was in his chubby 2-year-old stage.
That's
that
right.
kind of Brad
That's
Pitt, right?
Yeah. That's about right. That's about right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, dang, now I just got Brad Pitt on the mind.
2-year-old chubby Brad Pitt. Where are we at? No, what's going on?
That's the name of this episode. I think
Oh,
we just
right,
figured out the
nice,
name of
right.
this episode.
No, you were snowboarding.
But yeah, so this past week I got all hyped up. I got all excited. I was actually going to go for a hike. I was gonna drive down the Cease Highway, the place that you and I have been, and
Yeah,
I was
way
gonna
down.
go. I was gonna get a day pack. I got snowshoes. I was gonna go on this really really cool hike, and then the night before. Or the day before, a couple, leading up to it, we got a big snowstorm, and then Eva, my new daughter, she's about a little over a month old, I think about 6 weeks. She was super colicky, so she was up a lot. So I didn't go to bed until like 1 a.m. I was super tired.
Poor Jackie.
Excuses. I know. So I woke up the next morning.
Jackie's his wife.
Yeah, I
Poor
woke up the next
Jackie.
morning at 7:30 thinking, I can't go. This isn't going to work. I got to go do something today. So I grabbed my snowboard and I grabbed my boots and I went up to Ski Land, which is a shout out for Ski Land. Awesome place. I mean, just really, really good. Not expensive. It's so beautiful. You park at the bottom and then they shuttle you up. And this is if they don't have any parking. They shuttle you up to the top. And they have a lift. It's the farthest ski lift in the North America.
Is it really?
The farthest north ski lift.
So what do you
in
mean they
North
shuttle
America.
you like in a van or in the lift? How do you
in
get
a
up
van? Yeah, they
drive down
they
and
have
pick
parking
you
at
up.
the top, and then they have
Oh.
parking at the bottom,
Oh.
and then if parking fills up at the top, they'll park everyone down at the bottom. Do you remember, Rodney?
What's the lift for
Do you
then?
remember that one parking lot you said had the car that was buried?
Yeah.
And that's the parking lot. Like that's the Ski Land parking lot.
Oh.
So the rest of the people, half of the people will park down there, and then they'll shuttle people up to the main parking lot.
Gotcha.
So I parked down there, threw my snowboard in the bus or whatever,
Right.
and then got shuttled up to the top, and then you snowboard on top of the mountain. Like
Cool.
the ski lift is all up on the top of the mountain.
That's fun.
So I spent about 3/4 of the day on the bunny hill.
Right. Hey, hey, I can't mock. That is exactly where I would be.
Yeah.
I snowboarded one time, and you know.
And you're still sore.
Yeah,
That was
years ago.
15 years ago.
Oh, that's going to hurt forever.
I guess that'll hurt forever.
That'll hurt. That's right. That's
But
it.
no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was really cool. It was actually, Rodney, it was the first time, and people say this all the time, like about Alaskans, and something that I'm learning as a newbie in my first winter here. You have got to get outside. You cannot stay indoors.
No, right. You will get depressed.
Yeah, man.
You will.
It's insane, and I even see it with my kids. You know, the teenage boys that we care for, and it really does affect a person when you're cooped up inside all the time.
Yep.
And
Cabin fever is very real.
It's very real,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And there's so much of an indoor activity that you can do before it becomes boring, and you have to move outside. So you see people all the time skiing and snowshoeing and doing the cross country skiing and things like that.
Yep.
And
Skijoring, you know what that is?
No, what's skijoring?
Skijoring, I think I'm saying it right. That is where it's a...
Rodney, I think we've all kind of come to a conclusion that, folks, whatever we say on this podcast, the chances of us pronouncing it wrong are like through
Very
the
high.
roof. Okay? So
That's right. We're newbies. What can we say?
newbies.
We love Alaska, but we are new to it.
We're so
you
new
know,
to
it's
it.
what it is.
So if we call what's that? If we call Alaska land
Pioneer Park.
Pioneer Park.
Right.
It's not because we're malicious. It's because we genuinely we just
Because
don't
that's what
know.
the sign says. Whatever. So
So what's skijoring?
yeah, skijoring. So that is where you have like a skier, like a cross country skier. I guess it's cross country skier, and they hook a sled dog to you. You got a harness you put around your body, and it's attached to a sled dog, and the sled dog like pulls you as you're going. I've seen them do it. And there's also another fun thing to do is fat tire bicycles.
Yeah,
So
didn't you guys just do that recently?
We did it one time. You can rent these super expensive. They're called fat tire bicycles because the tires are like, I don't know, 5 inches wide. They're like super thick and
Wow.
whatever. Well, these bikes are very expensive. Like the ones we rented, if you wanted to buy them, they were over $2,000.
Can't you just put fat tires on a? Oh, because you would need bigger spokes.
Right. You need they're very light. They look big and heavy, but they're not. They're very light. They're like carbon and aluminum.
How did they
and
handle
whatever.
the snow?
I mean, fine, but I mean, you still got to work. You're still working to get through that
it's
snow.
Still bicycling through snow.
It's still bicycling through. We went down to the Tanana River because sled dog race, or not races, but sled dog and snowmobiles, snow machines have gone down the Tanana River, and we thought, well, maybe there would be a path packed down that we could use these fat tire bicycles on.
Yeah.
No, there was no path. It was there may have been a path at one time where it had gotten packed down, but it was still 5-6 inches of fresh snow. We went like 10 feet and turned around and we're like, but then we did go downtown and we bicycled around downtown in the snow. It was fun.
Yeah.
I was gonna hit by a car.
You did?
Yeah, like I'm sitting there.
You buried the lead, Rodney.
Right.
You have to lead with that. Hey, welcome to the Live in Alaska podcast.
Let me tell you the story.
I just got hit. I almost got hit by a car.
Right. Well, I mean, I was me and my wife were on those fat tire bicycles, and we're at an intersection like downtown. We do have a downtown in Fairbanks with buildings and streetlights and all that.
Lights and
yeah,
not lanterns.
Right? No, not lanterns. No, real streetlights. And they have the walk, don't walk for the pedestrians. Well, it went to walk, right? The little person walking on. So I start going. And here comes a car. Just I don't know. They weren't paying attention. Or, I mean, I should have looked too. I mean, I did have the right of way, but I still should have looked. And I just kind of went on my bike, and I heard Deanna go, "Rodney, Rodney, Rodney!" And that car slid within about a foot of my leg.
Wow.
And then the lady's like looking at me like, "I almost killed you." And I'm like, and I just kept on moving. But that was a little scary. But
just
anyway.
another foot, and there goes your student loans.
Right, right, exactly. That's right, exactly. So Ryan, I have a little article for you, just a very little one. I'd like to share real quick if I can.
Yeah, man. Rodney, I got an article for you as well.
You got an article for me?
This week I got a fun article that I've been saving this article for like the past 4 days.
Okay.
And I said I'm going to bring that to the podcast.
Well, mine's from the Sunday paper.
All right, let's do this.
The Daily News Miner,
Bring
right?
it.
Fairbanks man treated for frostbite Fairbanks man treated for frostbite after fleeing troopers.
Oh no.
All right.
Oh no.
So those listening in the lower 48 or outside of Alaska, frostbite is a real danger. You got to be careful. When it's cold, you got to bundle your kids up. You got to make sure you have good shoes, boots, whatever on, gloves.
Yeah.
No exposed skin is the idea.
Wow, yeah.
All right, so it says this is in Fairbanks. A 32-year-old Fairbanks man was treated for frostbite after he lost his shoes while fleeing Alaska State Troopers.
Oh no.
Early Saturday.
Gotta tie those shoes, man.
That's right. If you're going to run from the troopers, Ryan.
At least tie your shoes.
Tie your shoes. If you're going to run from the troopers. Let's see here.
Duly noted.
This is in the middle of the night. It was 3:16 a.m. off Pega Road. Now we know where that is.
Yeah. That's weird.
It says the perp, he did not stop. A chase ensued. It says he crashed into the snowbank, so his car. Crashed into the snowbank along the road. Now, Pega Road, College Road, Johansson. I mean, these snowbanks are serious. Moose
huge.
won't even go over them. My wife videotaped a moose, and it couldn't get over the snowbank. I mean, they could have really tried, but it was like walking around trying to find a way.
That is on and if you check out the Alive in Alaska Instagram page, I think that video is on the Alive in Alaska Instagram.
I think you're right.
So go head over there and subscribe.
Yep, go to Instagram, Alive in Alaska, and that video is on there of the moose. Like, how do I get over this
They're
snowbank?
like 10 feet tall.
They're big.
Not the moose, the
snowbanks?
Yeah, they're huge. I've seen them. I've seen them about 10 feet.
You know, like I saw the gas stations and the businesses, when they pile their snow up, it's as big as their building.
Wow.
All right, so anyways, this guy, he crashes his car into the snowbank and fled the scene on foot into a nearby neighborhood. Fairbanks received a report at 4:15 a.m. So now, an hour. So it's 3:16 a.m. So they went to pull him over for an equipment violation. I don't know what that means. Blinker?
So that just
Blinker?
Yeah, that's it.
Equipment
man.
violation.
You're kidding me. Wait. So you're telling me that this guy got chased by the police because of an equipment violation?
Well, obviously
So we're talking a blinker or like even a headlight. A headlight could be that.
I don't think he ran because of a headlight.
But that's what did him in.
Well, that's why you guys are getting pulled over, right?
Yeah.
Right. So 3:16, it says they were pulling him over. A chase ensued.
Yeah.
Then there's a report from someone in the neighborhood at 4:15 a.m. Of a home invasion. So and then it says a suspect fled on foot without his shoes. Police and troopers coordinated search efforts, and they arrested him, and they took him to Fairbanks Memorial Hospital for treatment of frostbite.
Wow.
And then they moved him to the correctional center.
Wow.
So tell you what, man, I mean, that frostbite's a real deal. So again, Ryan, if you're going to run from the state troopers, tie your shoes,
man.
Tie those
That's
shoes.
it.
Tie
That's
them
it.
up.
I got to admit though, there are times when I leave the house, like if I have to go drop someone off, or if I have to just go somewhere, I won't wear shoes. I'll just get in the car with like my sandals or flip flops or.
Now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're gonna get frostbite.
I know. I'm not.
I'm gonna be reading about you being treated at the if you don't run from troopers. If you get pulled over for an equipment violation, just stop.
That should be the first lesson in all this. Not tie your shoes.
Right.
Not wear shoes in the cold. In Alaska. The first lesson in all this is don't run from troopers.
Don't run from troopers. There you go. So what's your article, Ryan? I want to hear it. You've been saving it. You're excited.
I am.
I can tell.
I actually,
you have an actual paper in front of you.
I have an actual paper.
Listen, actually, here's the newspaper. Mine was on my phone, and you call me not tech savvy.
Yeah, this is from Monday, February 12th. So this has been last week.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Now, Rodney, I'm going to read this article. You can't smirk or anything. You can't laugh.
Oh, I'm already smirking.
Not allowed to. And I gotta make a note. This isn't like a deep dive into the paper. This is the front page. Of the paper.
So, all right, bring it.
So
those are always the best.
Yeah.
My guy was on the front page of the Sunday paper. Yeah.
Someone said this deserves front page. Whatever.
Right. All right.
And this is not Fairbanks. This is more down south. So This is the article. Don't smirk. Don't laugh. You got to be as serious as possible.
I will attempt.
Park plans to adjust poop haul-out rules.
What?
All right. Scientists say, and I had to read this because I thought it was a bunch of bull crap. Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Yeah. All right. Scientists say about 150,000 pounds of mountaineers' feces sliding down glacier in Denali.
What?
Yeah, man. I'm just going to read this
Read
real
that
quick.
sentence again.
Yeah. Scientists say about 150 pounds of mountaineers' feces or poop sliding down
I think we know
glacier
what feces are.
in Denali.
I'm confused. 150 pounds?
Well, let me tell you more,
All
Rodney.
right.
Denali National Park plans to toughen poop hauling requirements for climbers on the popular West Buttress route up North America's.
What route?
Is it Buttress?
We got to take care of the poop problem. What peak, sir? Buttress. There's a poop problem on the Buttress Peak, the trail.
It's not just.
We're not making this up.
It's not just a poop problem.
There's a bunch of poop sliding down the glacier on Mount Buttress.
It can't be.
It can't be real.
the
This
west
cannot be
side.
real. You are making this up. This is a satire news article.
Rodney, it can't just be a poop problem on the north side of the mountain. It's got to be on the west buttress.
Is that the south side?
Oh, man. The West Buttress route of North America's tallest peak. The rules are based on research that indicates the I can't say that. Calhinta Glacier is working more like a slow-moving poop conveyor belt and less like a natural toilet than previously believed.
What?
Here's the interesting one. More than 1,000 mountaineers a year have tried to climb Denali in recent years, most of them on the West Buttress route, which begins on the Catalina Glacier. By a conservative Park Service estimate, they have left more than 150 pounds of poop in crevices on the Catalina Glacier since Bradford Washburn pioneered the West Buttress route in 1951. So I'm not going to read the entire article, but what the article goes on to say is that they're going to make one designated spot on the mountain where you can poop in the glacier. You can poop in the crevasse, but you actually have to bring a bucket to poop in, like an actual poop bucket, and then you have to haul it back down the mountain.
Yeah, well.
And I will actually, Rodney, I'll send Deanna, she's our producer, I'll send Deanna the link to the article, but if you see the picture, it's actually a picture of a guy who's
He's sitting on a bucket.
He's sitting on a poop
bucket. He can't actually
bucket.
be doing business right now.
No.
I mean, I know that's what they're trying to make. Scientists say 150,000
Not even 150 pounds.
I thought you said 150.
Yeah.
Scientists say 150,000 pounds of mountaineers' feces sliding down glacier in Denali. You're right. This is front page, first article of the beloved Daily News.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't believe it.
All right.
I couldn't believe it, man.
And that one, yeah, okay. Well, hey, that is a. I can't believe I missed this.
I know. Well, that's why when I brought it in, I was taking it out of my truck, and I said,
Rodney's already got this.
I bet Rodney's seen it already.
No,
Did you read the paper?
I do read the paper, but yeah, I missed it.
Yeah.
Weird. All right.
Yeah, so there it is, folks. My story, clearly the better story out of this.
Clearly. Yeah, I would say so. That's right. Very good. Ryan, you had something that you want, a good segue. Good segue. You wanted to, we only have a few minutes left, but you wanted to talk about something a little more serious than frostbite and feces on a mountain.
Yeah, well, let's, Rodney, let's go ahead and, I think it's appropriate to talk about. I mean, one of the articles that I was reading a few weeks ago, Jackie actually brought it up to me with a question of how much snow has Fairbanks gotten, and she actually said that, and I have a reason for saying all this. She said that Fairbanks has actually received over 7 feet of snow this winter.
That's crazy. I mean, I believe it.
Of accumulation.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you walk outside and there's 7 feet of snow outside. You know, there's it gets rid of whatever.
Yeah, pack down whatever.
But the reason I say that is because I mean there is so much snow here. There's like a mental thing. There's like a mental thing that clicks over into our heads that really when we say there's too much snow outside, that you don't want to go outside.
Right.
And you mentioned it a little earlier, but cabin fever, I mean,
Yep.
that being a very practical thing that people deal with. And unfortunately, Rodney,
Yeah.
a lot of the times it leads to depression.
Yep.
I mean, it leads to people just having this sense of just hopelessness and really kind of just this void, in their day. Rodney, you work in a field where you deal with a lot of people and you have
Yep.
like a lot of conversations. I mean, do you find that to be the case? I mean, even with the past winters that you've experienced here, like even with like last winter.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. When you talk about snowfall or temperatures or depression or the flu, sickness, it seems like whatever you're currently experiencing is the worst ever. You know what I mean? You ever
Yeah.
seen that?
Yeah.
Like, this is the snowiest winter I can remember, or the coldest winter, or this is the worst outbreak of flu this season, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. Well, I say that because it does seem like this winter has been more difficult on people, and as far as depression goes, I've had people in the church come up to me and ask me for prayer or ask to talk about their depression, and they did not ask me about it last winter. So either they
Wow.
didn't have the
Yeah.
depression or as bad or whatever, or they didn't tell me about it last year.
Right.
But I had one lady in particular tell me she's never struggled with depression like she has this year.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it's a combination of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just the weather, obviously, but that definitely contributes to it. There's even an exhibit at the Alaska Museum, the museum.
Is that the Museum of the North?
I don't know. It's the one in Anchorage, the big one in Anchorage downtown.
Okay, yeah.
But they have a large room, an exhibit type thing, all about cabin fever, and it actually
Wow.
scared my kids. Because there's this
Wow.
kind of scary images and videos playing and stuff like that.
Man.
And it's intended to, I guess, to scare you a little bit, but the fact of the matter is, cabin fever is very real.
Man.
I can think of people specifically that they don't do exactly what you're saying you should do, and that's get out of the house.
Yeah.
They get upset. They decide they hate the cold. They hate the snow, and so they'll just stay indoors. And man, I tell you what, that depression will come on, and it can be very difficult to break out of. We have seasonal affective disorder, SAD, here in Alaska. And I know many people that suffer from it.
And I hate to bring this up, but I mean it's a very real statistic, and I don't know the exact number of it, but I know that Alaska and even Fairbanks ranks up there as well as one of the leading areas that deal with suicide.
Correct.
As a result, so it's not even transcendent depression where it kind of
transient.
Transient. I'm sorry.
Right.
Transient depression where it kind of comes and goes.
Right.
You're in winter for 7 months.
Yeah.
7 or 8 months.
It can be difficult. It
Yeah.
sure can, So let me ask you, Ryan, you've been here since June, right? And so this is your first winter. What have you done when you kind of feel the blues kind of come on a little bit, or maybe a little cabin fever or whatever? What have you and your family done to ebb that, to have that, to keep it at bay?
And it sounds, and we've kind of been alluding to this and talking about this quite a bit, but it really is, even if it's not going outside and building a snowman, which you can't do anyway, or going skiing or going hiking, really just going to the grocery store, being around other people is huge. And we mentioned it a few episodes, one of our first episodes, we mentioned the number of churches that Fairbanks has, and I believe that's for a very very deliberate and intentional reason, is that people are seeking Jesus, but also people need people. People
that's a good way to say it.
Around other people, and so in the wintertime, you can probably speak more into this with numbers and stuff, but I can definitely see people having more of a motivation to be at church and be around other people and feel that human connection. Because when you're sitting at home alone and there's 4 feet of snow,
right,
on
and
the
it's
ground,
dark,
and that's not even something that we mentioned, the darkness,
right.
But
Yeah. So, like, one of the goals that we have here at Shannon Park, and if this is the first time you're listening, I'm a pastor at Shannon Park Baptist Church in Fairbanks. Ryan's been in the ministry for many years. We both have Bible degrees and that sort of thing. And so we love people, we love Jesus, and we love people. And one of the things we try to do here at Shannon Park is we try to have, I guess you could say, activities, just things going on, events, that sort of thing. Like we have the... for example, on Fridays, I think it's from 3:30 to 6:30, 5:30, whatever. It's a study group for
3:30 to 6.
3:30 to 6. It's a study group time for high schoolers. They can come, do their homework. It's a safe, quiet place.
Yeah.
They can do their homework, and then also once they're done with that, we have like a ping pong table and pool table and stuff, and they just kind of hang out. So we try to give some of those things, to offer people, especially in the wintertime.
It kind of sounds like a plug, but really, it's not even about, and it may be, but it's not even about Shannon Park. And I think what Rodney's alluding to, it's encouraging. There are resources out there. There are places that you can get plugged into, and this really, there's actually been quite a few people in my circles, and I deal with it. Rodney and I deal with it on a pretty daily basis, of people who feel this sense of hopelessness, this sense of fear for just being alone, and we just want to really kind of nail down there is hope. There are people there. There are people who will talk. There are people who will surround you and who will care for you. You just got to find it. And I think whether it's Shannon Park, getting plugged into the study group, if you're a teenager, if you're a youth listening to this, there are resources to be around other people.
Right on.
UAF has a lot of really fantastic resources, or University of Alaska rather. Wherever you're at, they have great resources. So we definitely encourage you to reach out and discover those.
Yep, right on. And the overall feeling of hopelessness, I've talked with people that felt hopeless just in general. May have been depression, may not have been. But really, the ultimate answer is Jesus. The ultimate answer is having your sins forgiven through Jesus. He died for you. He died for your sins because he loves you. And so many people carry that weight around with them. So we talk about the cold and the darkness. Well, can you imagine also carrying around all this heaviness of guilt? This guilt of just, I've done these things and I don't know how to fix things, and my relationships are breaking down and all that sort of thing. And so many people have accepted Jesus as their Savior, and they have talked about this weight being lifted kind of off their shoulders, you could say, from you could say their sin debt. And that's what we want to encourage you with as well. Ryan and I both have accepted Christ as our saviors, and life's hard. And it'd be even harder if we were walking around with this guilt over our heads, but Jesus forgave us for our sins, and so we don't walk around with an extra weight on our shoulders. So that's what we want to encourage you with today, and we just appreciate you guys listening. We're going to wrap it up. And Ryan, do you have any further comments or anything else you'd like to say on this podcast? Episode 5.
Yeah, man. Just as a broken record, we encourage you guys to subscribe to the podcast, whether you listen to it via iTunes or SoundCloud. We want to encourage you to subscribe so you can get notifications for future updates. We also want to encourage you to visit YouTube. We actually have a YouTube page now. And Rodney, I feel like an amateur. Do you have the URL? Do you know what the URL is, or is it just Alive in Alaska? You can search YouTube for Alive in Alaska.
The best way to do it is to go to aliveinaalaska.com.
Okay.
And on the home page is a whole bunch of big old buttons on the right side. iTunes is on there, YouTube's on there, Instagram, SoundCloud, all. So the best way to do it, it's like your hub for everything. Go to aliveinaalaska.com, and you can message us there. You can see our bios. You can see who me and Ryan are, and you can also link off of that website onto the other places that our podcast is on and whatever.
Yeah.
Share it on Facebook. We would love you guys to share it with your friends. This is a podcast that talks about Alaska, but we also talk about Jesus. We, like what Ryan said, we care about people. And so we'd love to hear from you. Message us if you just have a simple prayer request. We definitely take those seriously. So if you want to go to the website, aliveinaalaska.com, leave us a message, a prayer request. You got a burden or something, we definitely will lift you up in prayer. So thanks for listening, and we appreciate y'all, and we will see you later.
See ya.
Break of day. flowers fill